Because this tiny girl was born without an arm, no one wanted her. Mom even referred to her as a baby freak. At such a young age, it felt as though the world had abandoned the baby. However, Vaselina's life was changed one day when a woman by the name of Almira entered it. What followed caused widespread media attention. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. Most teens know their career goals from an early age, but Almira had no idea what she wanted to do with her life. She and her family had an unusual existence in Boscarin. She had always dreamt of leaving her nation and never felt comfortable where she was born. But what would happen to her even if she left? How would she spend her remaining days? Almira doubted herself a lot. Because of her close surroundings, she was also quite innocent. But greatness was destined for this young lady. She will soon have to save a little child who was living alone in the orphanage. Would Almira's history prevent her from doing this, though? Or maybe her vulnerabilities and fears? Almira persevered, and eventually she received her high school diploma. She was then accepted to a university. I felt like I was simply existing at this stage in my life. I was filled with a burning longing that I had no idea what it was. Despite spending nearly every day searching for it, I had no purpose, Almira remarked. Almira met a British couple a few months after being accepted to college, and for once she thought her life was starting to make sense. Almira was first exposed to Christianity by this couple. She accompanied them on their gospel preaching trips in public most evenings. Almira felt incredibly gratified by this, but she was still in the dark about what was ahead of her. Fortunately, she was not caught off guard. A few months later, the couple persuaded Almira to apply for a scholarship they had learned about in the US. Almira, though, was hesitant, but after being convinced for so long, Almira applied, and then she forgot about it. So when she found out she had won the scholarship, it took her completely by surprise. She had, without realizing it, come a long way towards saving the young child. There were other candidates who were more qualified than me. However, God provided for my needs, which allowed me to separate from my surroundings, travel away to study, and also develop a stronger relationship with Christ. Almira clarified. Almira didn't turn back on what she had learnt from the British couple after she arrived in the United States. She persisted in sharing the good news of Christ with others. She also provided care and visits to the destitute and disabled. Almira fell in love with aiding the underprivileged while doing this. She aspired to change the lives of people who were unable to advocate for themselves. The universe started preparing her for the work ahead of her at this time. Almira met several mothers while visiting clinics. Almira accepted all aspects of parenthood, including its joys and challenges. After hearing these women's stories, it follows that she didn't hesitate to start thinking about getting married and starting a family. Almira, though, was more worried with adopting children with special needs, even though many women her age would have preferred to have their own children. Finding someone who shared her desires was the one thing she was afraid about. A few years later, her wish was granted. When Almira first met Chris, he was everything she had dreamed of. He loved the notion of adopting children whom most people would probably pass over, just like Almira did. Almira understood that with this, she would always have someone to depend on in trying times. Thinking of the children they would adopt, the two daydreamed. But they never would have imagined that one of these children would one day become well known all across the world for something truly amazing. Before Chris asked Almira to become his wife, the two had been dating for a year. Following a modest wedding ceremony, they anticipated leading lovely lives, but there were many difficulties along the way for which they were unprepared. Chris and Almira's first child was born a few months after their marriage. They made a risky decision by adopting Dennis, their first child. When the youngster turned 2, the boy's low growth rate was caused by his medical condition. Even though he was 7 years old, he appeared to be 3. However, are you aware of what's the most terrible aspect? The youngster struggled with communication from birth and was born without limbs or legs. Nonetheless, Almira and her spouse provided assistance in getting the kid fitted for prosthesis. Many attempted to dissuade them along the way because it wasn't an easy trek, but they refused to give up. In addition, it was quite taxing because young Dennis needed care all day long. The couple therefore made the decision to not adopt any more kids, but they would forget everything about their refusal to adopt in a few months when they laid eyes on a little orphan child. It's also stunning how one girl altered the course of this family's lives. Almira got pregnant and gave birth to her second son a year after adopting Dennis. Following his birth, she and her spouse started going to a number of orphanages to provide the children with clothing, food, and water. At this moment, Almira and her spouse decided to reconsider not adopting children. Almira and Chris experienced an overwhelming desire to assist the numerous orphans in need. However, there were more urgent matters to attend to. First of all, it was already challenging for the 5 of them to live comfortably in their little apartment, sufficient to reject the notion of adoption, surely. For one pair, however, that was not the case. After contacting many orphanages, Almira and her husband received a picture of a 3-month-old daughter named Vaselina one weekend. The girl's mother despised her and even referred to her as a baby freak. A chill rushed down my spine as soon as I saw her photo, and I couldn't stop shaking. "Why should a young person begin her life in this manner?" said Almira. The girl had only 2 fingers on her small right arm at birth, and she was born without a left arm. Almira realized she had to intervene as the orphanage workers could only do so much to put Vaselina at peace. How would she make it through? "For her, I was really afraid," Almira said. But she would eventually get over this anxiety and claim Vaselina as her own. She is a warrior girl, for sure. Vaselina would not only show herself to be resilient, but she would also become well known for a very kind and courageous deed. Almira and Chris went to the orphanage that weekend so they could meet Vaselina in person. They were in love with her and had already welcomed her. But would the kid feel the same way? She did indeed. Vaselina was instantly at ease in Almira's arms and didn't want to be taken out of them. Vaselina would cry every time it came time for the pair to part. Fortunately, the adoption procedure moved quickly and Vaselina soon moved in with them. Although things were difficult at first, this family was given a fantastic gift that greatly improved their quality of life. The neighbors of the couple offered to sell their house to them because they were relocating to a different city. However, Almira and her spouse graciously declined the nice offer since they lacked the funds to purchase the home. Their neighbors, however, informed them that they could purchase the house for whatever money they had because they understood their desire for a larger area. How come? Almira's husband was astounded by what she heard. They completed all the necessary payments and were ecstatic. They moved into the new, more larger home later that month. It was an improvement over their old one. Vaselina also adapted to the new home rapidly, and her parents thought she had grown up quite quickly. She struggled to move, but eventually she managed to rise and go a short distance. Her ambition to become the finest version of herself is one of the reasons I adore this kid so much. You see, Vaselina made the decision that she would not allow anybody to feed her indefinitely, despite the fact that she was born without full arms. So you can probably imagine what she did. She mastered using her feet to feed. Almira took a picture of Vaselina using her feet to eat her favorite dish one day. The video, which she posted online, was overwhelmingly well received and supportive. And that's how Vaselina rose to the status of minor fame, my dear friends. Everyone was in awe of the bold youngster. They respected her tenacity and fortitude. How is Vaselina doing right now? She is currently 7 years old and has a really lovely and contented life. I have no doubt that she will have a bright future, so let's all keep an eye on this. What is your opinion on adopting children that have special needs? How do you feel about this narrative? I am forward to read your feedback. Stay careful till we speak again. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.